On today's episode of Bucked Up.
It's 2007 when the first time I took footage from a video I was showcased in, and I made a edit myself to Redman, the Red Gone Wild album. I just like used 6 track of Redman and I put my footage to it, and I'm like, that's how I want my skiing to look. Put it out in the world, and then like the biggest ski film company hit me up. They're like, yo, you're dope.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Hey.
There we go. No, the cost of animation is crazy right now. We were talking about you just dropped it what this week?
Yeah, just today, this morning.
Oh wow, so this will come out in a little bit, but what was the name of it again? You have a cartoon out.
Yep, it's Once Upon a Style.
That's so cool. And we were talking about like how much work goes into actually creating something like that.
Yeah, it's wild. Granted, also, like I have a super small team. I work with like the illustrator, and I'm doing the writing with him. So we go back and forth, and just like he shoots me images, sparks an idea, and then we build off of it. So it's like a long process. This took like about a year in the making, but on and off. I'm also like my main shit is skiing in the first place and making ski videos of the actual physical like maneuvers and such. But this is just like a kind of a sideline to make the brand more ephemeral and or more long lasting than just the skier himself, because the skier is breaking down as the years go by. You know, like the body won't be able to maintain like another 20 years of this raw like skiing. So I'm trying to make like round it out with this like character.
Yeah, that's really cool because I feel like that's something that you hear about in athletics is like people don't think about the longevity of what they're going to do when the body kind of gives up.
Right. Yeah, yeah. And too often the case, I've seen like a lot of friends kind of pass that threshold and really just like not know what to do and kind of get into a like a depressed state. And like I'm trying to move from strength to strength. I'm not trying to slow down, but I also know that certain things have a certain lifespan and I just gotta move on. So I'm transitioning slowly, but yet I'm keeping my body is strong. I'm still feeling good, but I know the day is gonna come where like the youth is taking over already. Like I can't keep up with necessarily like what the youth is doing. I what's very particular with me is just the style, because no one really can replicate the way I do things. Just like for an analogy, just like a Snoop Dogg on the mic or something, like Snoop will always have his tone of voice, his flow, and nobody can replicate, even if he's not the most lyrical in the hip hop game. Like you still want to hear that style.
Yeah. Where do you think that comes from? Do you think that's something that each person is born with, like a special innate talent for one thing?
Yeah, it's a great question. Style, I think, is yeah, uh, at the essence of your being. Like that's just how you're born. And granted, you take like the blessings that life give you and the opportunities and yada yada, and move like with the heart more likely than just by what people are taking you towards, like mostly moved by the heart rather than circumstances. Then you can really fulfill like who you are and shine in that regard because you're really true to character.
Because I feel like this path that I'm on, I almost didn't pick. I almost have to like go with what the universe wants me to do. I feel like I'm almost not in charge, but I have to make the best of whatever the situation I'm put into. But I don't know if that's like a blessing or a curse at the end of the day, because don't you want like free will over your ideas?
Yeah, right. No, that's true. I often feel that way as well. But then again, like looking at the past experiences, that's what kind of like sets the tone for, oh, this is the right path. Like it always turns out to work out really well. And like, so therefore, judging on past experience, on intuition, we make moves like in that regard, and always has brought me to the place where I feel like I want to be, but yet not quite arrived. I'm always unsatisfied with like where I'm at. So that's where the evolution and progress keeps going.
When did you realize you were a skier? Like, when did you find who you were?
So I grew up at a ski resort. My grandparents had set it into place, so I was like really fortunate in that regard. By the age of like 11 is when like this new sport emerged, freestyle skiing, and that's like rebellish, like fuck the rules. There's no rules to anything. You can't tell me when or where I can ski. I'm just gonna do things my way. So that was really attractive because I always was a counterculture dude. Therefore, at 11, like I saw the videos, saw people like putting hip hop in their parts, like early on, like Jizza, Liquid Sword, Cypress Hill, Mos Def was coming, and I was really attracted to like that, just hip hop in general. I grew up on, so therefore now I saw it with imagery of a thing I was acquainted to. Therefore, I was like, oh, that's me. Like hip hop skiing, I'm making movies, skiing to hip hop.
That's so, was it like anti your grandparents? Were they, because they owned a ski resort? That's kind of like the opposite of what you were trying to do.
Yeah, I must say I don't think they ever understood what I really was doing, but they saw I was they understood when I was like in the local newspaper and such, but like the videos themselves never really attracted. But when it was like local press and just like provincial press, then they were like, oh, okay, he's on to something, I guess. Like, wow, congrats. But otherwise, no, it's really far from their reality.
But it was through skiing, it's kind of funny because like when I was a kid, my grandmother paid for me to do drum lessons. She like wanted me to play drums and be like, like a classical whatever. And I didn't really like that, but it definitely helped me garner a love for music that I'm in now. But I don't think this is the lane that she would have wanted me to be in. You know what I mean? So it's kind of funny hearing the how your story's pretty similar in that way.
Right, right. Yep. Took something and brought it somewhere else. Definitely.
Where did the hip hop come from?
My brother, especially, he was 5 years older, so he was listening to Wu-Tang, DMX, like those kind of hip hop movements, very like energetic hip hop, if you will, the 90s boom bap. So that was like kind of just so it caught me like well, because that was the energy I was trying to feel. Like I wasn't necessarily into punk rock, it didn't speak to me, but this like form of poetry. So I like am French spoken, but I grew up with a cousin that's English, so I got lyrics a little bit, and it just grew on me. Now I'm catching more and more nuances in the lyrics because like there's such depth in hip hop and poetry that I always had a love for, also like the writing aspect of it. Therefore, that's like all how it built, and it was just like placed so beautifully, with melody and energy. So I was like, oh, okay, this is like my shit here.
It's a very specific style of rap that sticks with freestyle skiing. It's that like 90s boom bap. Like it's very, why is there such a connection between those two? I know I was talking to Henrik about it, but it's so funny. It's like that music matches perfectly with that style of skiing.
Right. Yeah. The energy is right on. And also, it just so happens that, like, when hip hop was booming commercially, like late 90s and such, that's the emergence of freestyle skiing. And that's when the videos came out, and snowboarding as well. So that's like what we would be introduced to with hip hop. But now my taste has evolved also. Like, I love the newer hip hop, but like in its own genre. For instance, like, I know you're very familiar with Griselda, like Rock Marciano, Makami, The God Fahim, Navy Blue, like all that type of drumless, if you will, like some different sound in hip hop that's not like boom bat for per se, but it's very boom bat influence, just like with a new refined touch.
Oh, it's definitely influenced, but like, all right, I have a Lil Uzi Vert shirt on right now, and I don't know, maybe I'm ignorant, but I feel like skiing doesn't really play like that type of music as much. It's more the like grimy, the drumless, like that shit.
Yeah, absolutely. For instance, yeah, I'm not acquainted to Little Uzi Vert's music at all yet, you
Have
know.
you ever heard of him?
Yeah, definitely heard of him,
Oh,
but
okay,
I
all
don't know.
right.
It's like one of those things that didn't come to my attention enough that I'm like, oh, I gotta like scratch that itch.
Yeah. But that's funny how like you are kind of stuck in the path, like you're talking about your brother playing you your music and your grandparents with the skiing. It kind of goes back to the first point of like it's funny how you're stuck in not stuck in your ways, but it's like the path is decided for you, and how successful you are is like how much work you're willing to put in.
That's right. Definitely. Well said. In
But like,
your in
what did you say?
your field of work is podcasting, and did you pursue in other music like aspects other than like covering the general like people that partake in the art, or is your main shit pod?
I'm a stand-up comedian, so I can't
Word. Okay.
so I don't even like I can't make music. I'm not a very musical person. Are you? Do you play any instruments or
None at
anything?
all. No.
You just enjoy it as like a fan.
Yep.
That's kind of how I feel too.
Rad.
And you
Hell
get to
yeah.
like put your artists on through it. Like in your newest movie, I saw you had like Mike Shab and Nicholas Craven and all, and I was like, oh, I love both of them. But it's cool that like you can show these artists to a group of people who might have never heard them before.
Right, right. Yeah. It's yeah, it's a beautiful process for sure. I really appreciate also like the openness of the hip hop world to embrace like our world as well. Like Henrik worked with Benny deeply, like he released his video on Benny's channel, and I was in touch with Shab and Craven, and they were like all in for me to use the music. Granted, we exchange things like make sure everybody is paid proper, but no, it's just beautiful, beautiful exchanges.
Have you ever met any of these guys? Have you been able to go, like, do you go out to see music and stuff?
I do, yeah, but rarely do I cross the threshold of getting to meet him. Like I'm never backstage, but I always enjoy the music in the audience. I've met like a few members of the Wu-Tang since we had Master Killa at the event at a B&E Invitational, Henrik and I's event back in the day. So I got to meet a few of them, but never like Masakilla is the one I got to kick it most, like play chess and exchange conversations, but rarely do I get to see him much. I'm like in the suburb and far from the city, and I'm kind of like uh either I'm outdoors in the street skiing or I'm chopping it up on my computer, what I just filmed outdoors.
Can you talk about how you played chess with Master Killer? That's crazy.
Yeah, that was good. It was a Henrik connection. Henrik had like a Burn, which is a helmet company that had the Wu-Tang logo. So we kind of like Masakilla was there to promote the helmet with Henrik at a SIA. That's where companies come and showcase their products. So I was around, and I'm a chess player, and I brought the chessboard, and I asked him if he wanted to play, and we did. Was a great game. He beat me in the end, and yeah, good memories.
Are you a good chess player?
I wouldn't call myself a good chess player, no, but I can play.
That's funny that you bring it around with you though.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I actually bought that one in Denver because I was meeting with Masakilla, and I was like, oh damn, like I know this dude's about chess. Like I want to see if he has interest. So I bought a pretty decent chessboard, gave it to my homie in Denver after.
That's funny. I feel like All right, like long ago, that would probably be more normalized, but no one like does that anymore. Like I've never once heard someone be like, "Yo, you want to play chess? I got a chessboard with me right now."
That's true. Yeah, it's a tall order kind of these days, especially.
Not really. I mean, it is, but I'm talking about like your mind. You're keeping your mind like firing. It's not like you're just like, "Oh, let's just sit here and do you smoke?" I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
your
we were
Instagram.
smoking while playing chess.
That's
Yep.
because your Instagram's Casa Blood. So I was like, he definitely has to smoke, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, yeah. No, I enjoy weed.
Smoking and playing chess.
Yeah, yeah, with Master Killer. Definitely
Do
a
you think weed
highlight
make?
reel.
Do you think weed makes you lazy?
Not at all. No, no, it kind of like to me what it does that it depends on what strain really, but it kind of like I like the hard strains that just gets me really high and almost uncomfortable and kind of like questioning my existence. Like, shit, am I doing right? Like, I definitely kind of rethink how I move on weed like big time. It just forces me to do so. So therefore, I kind of like refine and make sure like I put some stuff away that's useless. I also like just enjoy it for the fact of laughing and listening to music and kicking it.
I enjoy that level of anxiety too. I like putting myself in a situation where I have to like overthink everything
For the
because
writing process, when you write jokes and shit, do you do it or
yes, 100%. Do you only ski stoned or do you do it sober like when you're learning a trick?
rarely stoned these days? Yeah, I used to do it, but now I kind of like just want my whole mind for that moment. But because the shit I do when I do ski, like at the resort, yeah, I'm gonna ski and get high and have fun. But when I'm filming shit, it's like highly consequential. So I don't want to be like, ah, shit, like blame the weed, like, oh shit, I shouldn't have like been high for this moment. I just want to take that out of the equation if I do get hurt or anything. So I just try to be as sober as possible.
Has it always been that way?
No, no, no. It fluctuates definitely. Yeah, yeah. The more
What made what
I think
made you stop?
injuries.
Injuries?
Yeah, maybe injuries and just like a level of just like taking it seriously because of so many like injuries and just wanted to avoid like any type of other injuries to occur.
Yeah. Was there one that kind of like changed everything?
No, no, it's like I mean, I had some gnarly injuries, but none were like shattering, luckily. But it's just like a culmination of them all, like an assembly that's just like, okay, like, but it's always making me sharper. It's just like if you are stand up and you bomb, like you're gonna get back to your shit and just like make sure next time you get on stage, you're getting some laughs, or you can't necessarily decide, but you're gonna do your very best. And that's what injury does for me. It's like I'm gonna get on my shit, get strong, come back, and murder.
But don't you think that a lot of people might watch your stuff? Or I won't even say this. A lot of people who smoke weed don't realize that you don't have to do it all the time. Like they might not they might think you're stoned doing your videos, but you take it so seriously that you can like tell yourself not to do it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I smoke after, like celebration, smoke, and kind of revisit, see what's been done, and kind of then like I can reassess and really get. It's just like if I put the analogy of joke writing, it's like I write my jokes down, get it on the paper, and then I smoke, and then I read what I wrote, and then I'm like, okay, like this ain't it. But now, like I got my high brain to kind of like depict all that's been written or all that's been shot in my case on video.
Yeah. Do you this is a change of subject, but I actually was going to ask you this earlier talking about your cartoon. What was the, did you write that? First off, did you write that stoned or was that what was the how did the idea come around for that?
Yeah, the idea came from a weed brownie. for
Really?
sure. Yeah,
How strong a one?
I grew my own weed, and I have no idea how strong the weed was, but it was fucking strong. So I was paralyzed in my couch basically, and just like I had the epiphany of doing that, like the cartoon thing. And but I couldn't write shit because I was kind of like I was trying to write, but I kept making mistakes and just like couldn't put really thoughts together that were long enough to last a sentence. So I was just like, okay, I just got to keep the idea in mind, and I'm gonna come back at it tomorrow. So that's how it came, really.
Where did the idea come from though? Like the actual like when did you think up, oh, this is what I want to do?
That time when I ate a weed brownie by myself at home.
But do you have a dog? Like do you have a pet dog?
At that point, I had a cat, but no, so like yeah, the B dog thing was just like I had beef with cat. A cat tried to rip my eye when I was a youth, and a dog came and chased the cat. So at one point, like we were all giving each other's a nickname, and I was like, I got called B dog because the letter B is just dope. My friends figured, so it was a name that was given to me by friends, and the dog was because I hated cats at that point, and I was down with dogs. And I was
Wait,
like kind of a DMX type of dude, like you know, DMX was really my shit, and he was all about dogs. So that's what like all that grew to be B Dog, and I just ran with it. Really, I never asked myself. I did ask myself, oh, should I change nicknames? But at some point, it was just like it's too late. Like, might as well run with it.
a dog saved your life from a cat trying to rip your eye out?
That's my 4 year old self comprehension. Yes.
Wait, so what happened?
I was on the porch at home, and the cat just like I tried to grab the cat and probably stressed it out. It jumped to my face, scarred me right below the eye, and a dog came chasing my grandfather, who was my neighbor. His dog came chasing the cat, and that was that.
That's crazy. So that's where the idea came from of the dog saving the day.
Yep, yep. That's how
And
it
you're just
started.
and you're just stoned as fuck sitting in your chair just thinking about what like your childhood trauma. And do you
That's
still
pretty
have the
much it.
scar?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if you can see it, but
Oh
it's like
wow.
really red.
Yeah, damn, that's pretty deep.
Yeah, it was deep. It was a pretty bad trauma at that point.
You have like reasons to hate cats. Most people just hate cats. But you have like an actual reason to hate cats.
Yeah, yeah. I made some distance since. I'm cool with every animals now, but no, I like kind of got over that trauma. I'm
How?
still not down with. I mean, just by like I had some girlfriends that had cats, so I had to embrace the fact that like they'd be around and shit, the cats. But no, now I'm in the best life. I have a girlfriend who doesn't really like cats either, so we're kind of like in the right space.
But you used to have a cat.
My sister did. Yep.
Oh, okay. So that was all right. So the whole reason I bring back the cartoon up has how do you feel about like AI artwork? As someone who realized how hard it was to create a cartoon.
Yeah, that shit is hard to grasp right now to me, just like especially like thinking for my artist friends that are I think like AI won't never be able to be specific as a human being, but then again, I'm gonna use those assets. Like I'm not necessarily like all about it. I love the human interaction, and to me, like making a cartoon, making shit is like all about also interacting with someone and sort of like being able to be clear enough in my words that he understands and can illustrate what I'm saying. And when that works out, it's like, ooh, it's like a match. We got something going here. Like you really depicted my brain because I can't draw for shit, but I can write. So and now with like the AI thing, it's like sure I can do all that stuff, but like lonely as fuck. I don't know. I might as well just like do shit with people. So that's where I'm at. But it might ease the conversation when I show someone like, oh, this is what I'm thinking. I make that AI do its thing. Look at this.
It's a weird thing because it definitely takes away from the people who do it, the artists. But it also like eases work, which is kind of like I bet when you started making ski videos, it was a lot more difficult than it is now.
Definitely. Yeah, things change for sure. And I wasn't even in the era of 16 millimeter of film because you had to buy films and you had to wait for the film to be processed. I came in the digital age where like you had like VCR cameras, you had tapes, so that was already easier. But yeah, it just is getting easier and easier, which causes the oversaturation, which causes people not to give as much attention because there is too much out there, which is kind of a problem. But then again, it just like gives a push to stick out even more. Like, okay, how am I gonna make something that is memorable, which is difficult in these days and age, like in all realms of art, I think. But there still are classics coming out, like from the film, music perspective.
Is skiing saturated right now?
Yeah, I'd say so. I can't keep up like with watching everything, you know what I mean? Like it's definitely hard to watch all the videos that people put out because everybody now has a camera. Everybody's got a computer to make the editing. So, and everybody's got a YouTube. So it's like a lot, which is like great. I think more power to the people. Like make have fun out there and make good stuff. It's just like hard to keep up and hard to filter the good and the less good.
And but do you feel like that then ups the quality of the people who then do make it?
That's right. Exactly. Yep. It goes both ways. You have the refined people get more and more refined, just like hip hop did in time. Like now you have like some very refined music and sounds, and just like lyrically, people are more sharp than they ever been. Like so, I think yeah, it goes both ways. Things are also getting better as time goes, which is like the 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 other side of the oversaturation. It gives some people more like a push
Is
to
there
stick out.
someone that you see on the come up? Like who's the like best new school skier that you think is like changing the game?
I got to go with my the people from here. Ed Joy, he's called. That's his Instagram name, Ed Joy. He's a local dude. He's got a good attitude. His head's in the right space, and he's who I want to affiliate with and work with. He's 18, 19 years old. There are killer kids right now, man. It's like left and right, but definitely like when you get to meet the dude and like touch and feel the persona, then like it's a whole another depth to it.
What about him makes him different?
He just is not about the clout really, which is different from a lot of people. He doesn't try to be in front and just like of the main dude, but yet when he is on the silver platter, when he is at X Games, he's gonna show out, like show off. But otherwise, he's not that type of dude necessarily. He just like gives room to other people to speak, listen. Also, like that's just like a conversational thing, just good human being in general.
Does skiing have like scenes like in rap, like cities that not beef with each other, but is that like a thing? Because you're talking about in your city. You're like only repping people from your city, like you're a rapper.
No, yeah, I love a lot of people outside, like it's a worldwide thing, but now there's not much of a beef, which like I think would skiing would benefit from that though. I but it's just like a matter of someone being cocky and calling out someone and then like creating that. There was some more like extroverted, outspoken people. But nowadays, it's like people's feelings get hurt very quickly, and sponsors are like dropping people because of like petty shit. And it's like that's sponsors are right now, unless you go independent and run your own shit, which is like nobody basically except for like Hendrix making it right now. But you gotta like abide to sponsor, and if you don't get the sponsorship dollar, then you're not able to sustain yourself because it's such a expensive endeavor.
Why is the sponsorships fucked up right now? Why do they have to? Why is it you have to abide by their rules?
I think they're in well because they have like criterias of how like athletes should act and such, and now with like a general human broader thing, like people are really like easily offended, so therefore sponsors are like kind of like have a lot of hold back on like if you're like extra like out there and just like if you're saying some bad shit about other people, you're gonna get dropped. Like the main example in skiing is Tanner Hall. He's like the most legendary skier, and he used to like he didn't hold back on like what he thought, and which is why we love him and why he's one of the reasons he's so popular. But he got dropped like countless amount of times by the sponsors that was supporting him just because of like shit he was saying. So it's like, and sometimes it's worth hold the spit back and just not open the mouth and just be like, oh, whatever.
Isn't that crazy how then you can be control not you, but one can be controlled by the money? Because time and time again, successful people who are themselves. But it's like these companies don't understand that to be that success, you need to let the person kind of be themselves.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's right. And the best of them understand, and which like I run with these companies that do give me like free range. And so does Henrik and Tanner. We're all on the same brands, basically, like for that reason. I think we just also have built relationships that they know what we're about and they know we're showing out like our true colors. Like I'm not lying about me like loving magic mushrooms and smoking weed, like I'm not like hiding who I am, and they're cool with it because I've been around for 20 plus years. But up and comer kid who like shows up like that might like get pushed back because just like he doesn't have that relationship bond with the sponsor. So it's a peculiar, but that's how it kind of goes unless he just like is courageous enough to go independent, which is very rare because it requires a lot of administrative beyond athletic skills.
But that's with everything. And I would rather take less, make less money, and keep my integrity.
Amen. Well said. Yep.
I don't want to sell my soul in that. And I don't mean sell my soul to the devil in some conspiracy way, but just I don't want to give up what I want to create. And that's what I hope people like. I think that's what people see in everything. And it's weird that these businesses don't see that, that
Mm-hmm.
is the path to success, or most businesses.
That's right. Yep. You're definitely building longevity. If like, for instance, like one of my favorite MCs, rappers is Redman. And like I could listen to a 92 Redman and still like he's came out a few years back now, but 2016 Redman, and he still has the same characters on board, like still has the same like so he stayed authentic, and I'm like a fan for life now, and I'm supporting all this shit. So that's like what I'm basing myself off of. Like that's why like it's important to stay true to character. And yeah, he probably said fuck you to money a bunch of times in that career span. So yeah, but it's like not the case for everybody, but they don't last as long.
You were talking about the administrative work that you have to do to be an independent skier. Um, can you go more into that? Because I think people listening need to know that in any field, no matter whatever it is, you're going to have to be a businessman.
For real. Yeah, either you're going to pay someone to do it for you or you're going to be doing it yourself. And that requires you to know your value and speak up to the people and tell them what you're about and what you're worth. Otherwise, they're going to profit. They're going to try to profit because everybody's trying to make a profit off of skill and talent. Therefore, you got to be your own hype man in some way and just like put a different hat on for a minute when you discuss these types of deals and make sure that you are receiving your just due because it's all about asking also is like just ask, be audacious and ask. Like I pulled some stuff up, pulled some money out like that. It was just a matter of me asking and me just like put a proper plan, appropriate like wording for people to be like, oh shit, like he's on his shit, like we're gonna support, and then you prove, show and prove, and then support comes again.
How do you find your worth? How did you find your worth? How do people listening, how do they know their worth?
It comes, I guess, like everybody's got a confidence level that differs, and like me, I'm always building my confidence as year goes. I think experience really helped, and also like good people surrounding, like for instance, someone that you have that put me in touch, you and I, Eric Iberg, Inspired Media. He was like big on
Shout
like
out Inspired Media.
for
Shout
real,
out that. Thank you so much. I want us to say thank you to him if he's listening for putting this together.
no doubt. Thanks to Iberg, he like was a big propeller and like telling me like, yo, you're dope, and like you should keep going with it. Just like and also like parents also like were a great building foundation of like trusting and believing in me enough that so it's like I think in the building stage like it's often the people around you that kind of help you out with giving you the confidence that you need to step out into the world and say that's who I am. And then once you are people embrace that, it's just like okay, then sky's the limit, like I'm just going to keep on pushing.
And you also need, if you're working hard enough, if you really want something. And I think people don't ask themselves enough, am I really putting in the work that it deserves to make it doing this?
Definitely. It comes with a workload. Yep. Can't expect things to just show up easily. They do at some point. If the work was done, then things sort of like just fall down on the lap, but rarely has anything come that was worthwhile for me that didn't require me to give all I could and beyond all I thought I could give.
What year, and there's a reason I'm asking that, what year do you feel like things took off for you?
It's 2007 when the first time I took footage from a video I was showcased in, and I made a edit myself to Redman, a Red Gone Wild album. I just like used 6 track of Redman and I put my footage to it. And I'm like, that's how I want my skiing to look. Put it out in the world, and then like the biggest ski film company hit me up. They're like, "Yo, you're dope. We want to shoot with you next year." Then I was in their movie, highest production. Then they were presenting at the like big festivals. People were cheering my segment big time, and then it was like it was on.
How many years before that were you putting your all into it?
Since 2001, so it took like well, like I skied before that a lot. I skied since I was 2 years old, so I'm born in '89, so I had like 11 years of skiing, but then really focused on I want to do this at 11 years old. From 2000 to 2007 about is when like I pushed, and obviously I had my parents give me a big wingman like help because I didn't have like enough money to realistically buy like a season pass and skis and such. Like I could get around with like buying a piece of equipment or two, but the whole load is just like too much, was too much.
And how many hours a week or hours a day would you say you were out skiing for those years?
9 to 9 on the weekends, so 10 hours, 12, and 5 as soon as I'd come back from school, 5 to 9 in the weekdays, and maybe like one day off in those days. So whatever the calculation ends up being, definitely spent the 10,000 plus hours on snow.
And do you regret any of that time?
Oh no, definitely not. No, no, none of it. Yeah, it's gotten me like to meet the greatest people and also like unlock the greatest like locations that I could travel to. It's like given the world to me and still is. So that's like kind of why I keep like feeding this like love for this sport because I know how much it just brings. And in the end, it's like fulfilling to be on skis and do the thing. But like the what it brings on the outskirts, the friends, all the traveling is a blessing.
And I hope people watching this hear that that's really what it takes, you know? I think people always think there's some secret formula to whatever.
Yeah, very much. It's easy to look at something and be like, dude got nice overnight, but it just doesn't happen that way. Like unless like someone's got the cheat code or special Michael Jordan Space Jam juice. Like I don't know. I ain't seen it though.
But there's no such thing as that. The more like whoever I meet that's successful, they all are the same person. They all have the same drive, and maybe some people are dicks and some people, but they really do see it as the same thing that you can't skip any steps.
That's right. Totally. Now I gotta stay gotta have a certain structure and just like build and keep believing. Like faith is a big thing also because like none of it is real unless like proven to be by the person who has the vision, and that like takes a lot of faith to believe because there's a lot of naysayers, a lot of disbelief in that like outside of oneself, so it's easy to be persuaded of not pushing forth, like because my parents even like didn't see the vision until like it was fulfilled. Like I was somebody, I was getting contracts, I was getting money, I was winning competitions that brought money in, and it's like, oh, okay, okay. Seeing like the press or like all surrounding, but just gotta have faith.
But you always knew it was there. You knew you just had to practice to get to that point, you know?
Yep, repetition.
Repetition, yeah. But you do have to have faith. And I hope people listen to that voice in their head because I did, you did, everyone I talk to. That's why it's cool. Like that's why I'm really lucky and happy to talk to you because I'm like, damn, even in a completely different field, this dude has the exact same thought process as me for the way to be successful or to be his best self. And that's kind of the message that I want to put out on this podcast.
Well said, yeah. And I appreciate you taking the time to put me on to discuss it, discuss this. Like just like I listen to a lot of podcasts relating to hip hop, and you do a lot of them as well. And I can see so many parallels within hip hop, the way of functioning, and I take a lot from it just as a business enterprise and how to stay long-term longevity. Like there's so much there. They made a blueprint and they're much older. Like the art of hip hop is much older than what I'm doing. So there's more lessons to be learned and knowledge and wisdom. So therefore, and it's all out there. It's just a matter of like taking the time to listen and truly pay attention.
Yeah. It's like a weird a double-edged sword in your mind that you have to believe in yourself fully and think that you know best, but also take in as much knowledge from people that know better than you.
Yeah, it can't be too arrogant.
You
Or
can't, not at all. You always have to be accepting of knowledge, even though you believe in yourself.
yep, yeah, definitely. Got to know that mentorship is like such a valuable tool, and like the best do have mentors. Like someone, everybody is being taught or has been taught by someone who did things before them, and then you build on that blueprint. But you just got to be, you can't be too cocky or arrogant to accept that someone else. You got to take jewels like from people that passed before, and that's like something I try to embrace as much as possible. Like good criticism is always a good way to build. It's not easy to take in when it comes, but for the long run, it's a good building block.
What's the best piece of criticism you've received?
uh, put as much work at the end of a project as you did in the beginning. Is like don't fall short in the end, because like in the end like of a project, it's like you're out of breath. Suppose you're running a marathon, you're like dead, and maybe like the last like 2K, I don't know how many kilometers there is in a marathon. I don't even run, but like the last stretch is like kind of intense, and it's like, fuck it, I put so much work in. But it's like, nah, you got to really like put as much energy as you like when this vision was in the mind in the beginning. You got to put as much work, so it's just like don't fall short in the end. Put as much work in the beginning as in the end. I think that's like the most valuable thing that I held.
You mentioned mushrooms before. Have you ever had an ego death?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, and with no frame of reference at that point of like what that meant. So it was very confusing and scary. And have you had one before?
Yeah, uh-huh. Off of DMT.
Okay, I've never tried that one, but
It's intense.
yeah, that's what I hear. I'm definitely
Would you ever
willing.
do it? You would do it?
Yep. Yeah,
Maybe
the right
maybe I'd make a
circumstances.
trip up to Quebec one day.
Come up. Yeah, I
We
got
can go skiing and have an ego death.
hell yeah, I got the gear, and I can lodge you for sure.
Oh,
That'd be
perfect.
dope.
I got the gear. I've been skiing since like I was in fourth grade.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I live,
Word.
it's a very small mountain, but I live like 10 minutes away from a mountain that I would go skiing every single day after high school, ever since fourth grade. Yeah.
Okay, and you're from Buffalo or
No, I'm from Massachusetts. So
okay,
it's a
dope. What's a
small
hill?
mountain called Wachusett
Okay,
Mountain.
sick.
Yeah.
Never been.
Yeah, no. I mean, if you're ever out this way, you're welcome to stay with me and ski there. But it's like it's a beginner mountain, but it's a really good one to live close to for me because it was just I could mess around and have fun, you know?
Yep, yep. That's a similar scenario here. But
Talk
they
about your ego death though. I want to hear about that. We don't have to talk about my
yeah,
skiing.
that it's yeah, kind of making sense of it like through time also like of what it
What was it?
was.
What happened? Like how old were you?
So at that point I must have been like 21, and I had a few, but the like as like time went, I kind of like understood that when it was happening, I didn't have to freak out. The first time I definitely was freaking out and was kind of like saying peace to like my whole family and stuff. Like, okay, this is it. Like, this is the death of me. Like, I'm not gonna see tomorrow. So hope I'm remembered for the better, you know. So it was kind of like coming to conclusion with life. So it's like it was a real blessing in hindsight, because the next day that I'm alive, it's like a super blessing because I died, which is like a reference point also to which I learned later to ancient Greeks saying like if you die before you die, you won't die when you die, which is like kind of what you live with the ego death is like the death of yourself. So you kind of like embrace the fact of dying, which is not necessarily the end of your being, which I believe in an afterlife. So therefore, like it kind of like gave me a more clear perspective on what death holds. So that's like yeah, what it taught me. And it just gave me more gratitude than every day. Like just like don't end the conversation in a bad term with my mother and my family and treat people as lovingly as possible, even if times are hard.
I had never heard that Greek phrase before, but that's really powerful. And I feel that.
Yeah, that's from Brian Murescu. Like I fuck up his last name, but he's a author that was he was in the field of lawyer. He was a lawyer, but he studied like classicism, just like all languages at school. So he had like knowledge of Latin and ancient like texts. So he started to research like what the religions were all about, especially Christianity, and just like he breaks it down in his book, The Immortality Key, and it's a good book if you're ever into reading. I know that your grandma must be, or your grandpa, because I see the a bookshelf behind you filled.
What what's the craziest trip you've ever had?
Um, it was with Henrik. I guess like he might not want me to say that. Maybe you want to blur, but it was in Oregon, and I kind of like was with friends, and we were exchanging. I like exchanged my psyche for his for an instant. Like I saw myself with his eyes, and I was just very like baffled at the fact that we could be like this like unit for an instant. Like so that was I had many trips, but that's a moment in a trip that I always like stayed with me kind of.
That's wild. How did you guys meet?
We met at a ski hill competition. I did a trick and he thought it was cool. He said that was dope. We took T-bar together and we were friends. And then it was like, who's your favorite skier? Same favorite skier. What type of music you listen to? Hip hop. Like just on and on, like same shit.
Like that
Just like
scene in Step Brothers?
yeah, exactly. Yep, accurate.
But you guys switched psyches for a moment.
That's how I lived it, but he didn't live it that way. But yeah, I like saw myself with his eyes, which was a yeah, crazy moment.
I left my body on two of my DMT trips, and it's a very strange feeling. The actual out of body experience.
And feeling yourself still, or just like what
I
was
was
the
I was transported to a different dimension of both times. And I know like
vision?
I sound like a crazy person talking about it to people who haven't experienced it, but just like how I describe it is in like old movies how they show mushrooms where it's like everything just becomes you're just in a different world, but like when you take mushrooms that never happens. You're never really in like a different world. But like when you do DMT it's like that. It's like you are brought to a different dimension and you are
Yeah.
outside of your own body.
Now I hear of it. I listened to a bunch of people speak about it, and definitely interested in having that happen. Just want to be in the right circumstances and right frame of mind. But I heard it doesn't even matter in that case, which is different, or maybe it might. I have not no experience, but I know with mushrooms, definitely like the set and setting, and I'm sure this goes on to every single drugs you take, but set and setting is so important. And I just never had the opportunity to have someone say like, "Hey, I synthesized DMT. You want to try that tonight?"
Yeah, and I feel like you always have to do it with someone who has done it before or like
Mm.
knows about it. I feel like it's a tough thing to just be like, "Hey, I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna try it out with someone who doesn't know anything about it." I don't know. I did it with a shaman, my first time, which was so he could like talk me through the steps and walk me through like what is happening while I'm leaving my body.
Abroad, you travel for that or
No, I actually did it. I did it in the States.
okay.
Yeah, yeah, I did it in the States.
And of the ayahuasca version or just smoke?
No, I've never. Ayahuasca just seems like I don't want to do 8 hours. That seems
Yeah.
so long to have it be 8 hours. I just did it like out of a dab rig.
Uh-huh.
You just like heat it up like you're doing a dab and you drop it in and then you take it you take three big rips and then you just like lean back and close your eyes and your consciousness kind of like leaves through your head and then you're just like out for 15 minutes and then it shoots back into your head and you're just like it's like it never happened. It's crazy.
Anything like it's left you with? Like
Oh, it leaves. Yeah, I was in a really depressed place for like a year. And it's funny, my buddy's upstairs. Uh, he and I went down to Nashville and did it together. And I was really depressed for like a year. This past year. Um, and after that ceremony, I realized that it's funny, like you know how you know certain knowledge. Like I knew I had to not skip any steps, but I almost was like, damn, I put so much work in that it's time for me to skip the steps. And that made me depressed because I wasn't growing as much as I wanted to. But the trip made me realize, no, idiot, you already know you can't skip any steps. You just have to keep putting in the work you always do. You're never deserved of anything. You're never
mhm,
owed anything. Nothing ever comes free. If you feel like you owe or deserve something, then you extra don't deserve it. And you need to
mhm,
work double as hard for that. And that's kind of what it taught me that I was being a lazy piece of shit, that I was
mhm.
really the only person holding me back, you know?
Yeah, humbling experience.
Yeah,
Psychedelic.
you need that type shit.
Yeah,
Have you
I
ever
do.
tripped and skied?
Not like to a high level, but to a like microdose level,
Hmm.
quite a lot. I do enjoy that very much. It just like enhances the whole feeling and just like the whole sensorial, just like being there and just like wow, I'm feeling myself. Like, damn, this feels good.
I did it once, and I
Oh
it
yeah,
was
full time,
pretty. Yeah,
like
it
big
was
time. I mean,
maybe like a gram and a half, so nothing
okay,
crazy, but
decent.
still like a good amount. And I did it with a kid, a friend, and he was like, "I'm gonna go off on one of the like side paths." And then he got lost in the woods for like 2 hours, and I was just sitting at the bottom of the mountain, just tripping until he finally got back. I don't think I'm ever gonna do it again.
Cool story. Did he bring back some good news? Some good stories out there?
No, he just came back having a panic attack because he's like, I didn't know where I was. I should have. You ever get
Yeah.
lost? You ever got lost skiing?
Skiing, no. On mushrooms, yeah. But yeah.
Wait, how'd you get lost?
I like was with all my friends. It was dawn, so the sun was setting. It got dark. I dropped my glasses because I was wearing glasses like you. I wear contacts right now, and my I lost my. So we were in the woods, lost my glasses, and then like kind of was on a super trip. So like I just like found myself I don't know where in the woods, and that's when like I had another ego death, and I had something leave my body like physically come down from like my belly button, come up and out my mouth, and I was just like, oh damn, I'm alive. And then I realized I was alive, and I was like, I got to get back to my homies. Like, no idea how we part ways, but I found my way eventually by screaming, and they were screaming back. So next day, I found my glasses got eaten by my friend's pit bull. So
Wait, you what? You didn't even really lose them. They fucking were taken from you.
yeah, they probably fell on the ground, and he thought it was a nice thing to chew on.
And then a cat came up and scratched them and he spit them off.
Probably.
So with this cartoon, what do you it came out today. What is the plan for it? I know you said you wanted to release 3 episodes.
Yeah, so like the plan is just to see how it's received and build off of it and sort of like put it out in the world, see like the interest. We did a comic book with it and see what the world thinks about it and kind of like refine it and just like I have other stories to tell. Like Henrik also, who you met, like has a character also. He's a goblin when he's like illustrated. He's like an actual goblin. So my next story might have something to do with the dog and the goblin kind of meeting each other and seeing where I can go with it. It's still in the building process and I have much work to do, but therefore I'll see what the world says with this and keep building off these characters and keep like the ideas flowing and hopefully get some more finance in. But essentially like it's just fun to make these things and like have the sound engineer involved and all my we all did like the voices. It's all friends doing the voices. Music's done by my good friend, illustrated by my other friend. So it's just like a really close family thing. So it's just to make sure that they're eating, I'm eating, and we're creating shit.
And it's really dope. And I love the style that you did. I had never
Thank you.
really seen something like that before. So it was really cool.
Thank you. Yeah, that was the idea to come out with a piece that's like not yet really seen or done.
But man, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate your time. And hopefully we can meet up in person where it's not like I know Zoom is weird, but I really do appreciate you doing this. This is a really fun conversation.
Yes, sir. Thanks to you, man. Really appreciate the platform and your time.
Of course, I'll thank you everyone for listening. Hit like and subscribe.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Hey, hey.